Welcome in, everybody, to Max Monday Morning Quarterback. I am happy to be back here with the Week 4 edition. Super excited to talk about Colts, Rams. Colts undefeated coming into this game. Rams with one loss on the season. Rams are a team that I thought really could have been, an NFC Super Bowl favorite, depending on Matthew Stafford's health. And through 4 weeks, he looks healthy. He's delivering the football. But I want to focus around Davante Adams and Puka Nacua in this specific case because these two guys are a dynamic duo at the wide receiver position that are performing at or probably, in my opinion, or above anybody else in the National Football League as far as duos at the wide receiver position. Puka Nacua is a top 5 wide receiver, if not best, especially when you look at some of the metrics across the board. Davante Adams is providing exactly what the Rams have needed in this offense moving forward. So let's go ahead and get to the clips as far as this Rams offense is concerned. Obviously, the Rams end up winning 27-20. They go down 20-13 and have to climb their way back into it with 2 specific touchdown passes from Matthew Stafford. I want to talk about some of the things throughout the day that kind of ended up leading up to those 2 touchdown passes. And a big piece of this was, hey, Colts defense is playing well. They have some specific issues as far as the cornerback 2 position and their ability to really get pressure with 4. And these were the aspects that Davante Adams and what he brings to the table specifically for this Rams offense to beat man coverage on a consistent basis. They're going to play a little bit of cover 1 robber to show it a little bit before the snap as well. The short motion is going to give Matthew Stafford a little bit of an indication of what exactly they're going to end up trying to get to here. You see, they've got the guys ready to play off man coverage. They also got outside leverage to the bottom of the screen, but ultimately to the top of the screen, Davante Adams has free release to the outside as well. He's going to take full advantage of it, ultimately stemming out, beating that outside corner out there. And again, like I said, they have had some issues at that secondary cornerback spot, and Davante Adams certainly took advantage of it for this chunk gain. And again, their ability to find these mismatches for the Rams on a consistent basis are going to be a problem for teams because you can't cover all of these guys at one time. And the way in which Sean McVay designs this offense, Davante Adams is still a top 20, top 15 type of wide receiver ultimately, and Matthew Stafford is putting it on the money. That is not an easy throw by the great guys. He gets from the opposite hash to the other numbers, 15 yards down the field. That is an absolute missile that Matthew Stafford ends up delivering. That beats the cameraman to widen out on the shot. So that's a chunk play. And again, that's what Davante Adams can give you. Man-to-man coverage versus cover 1 robber. Say, hey, I'm going to be able to beat my corner to the outside, and you're going to be able to hit me on this route. And that's exactly what he's able to do. Then we move on. Puka Nacua comes on the field at the top of the screen. You got him and Davante Adams on the same side. What does that do? Defense, you're in a little bit of conflict as far as what this is talking about. Do you have the guys necessary to guard both of these guys at the top of the screen? A bit extra emphasis on Davante Adams because they know it's man-to-man coverage there. He's going to have a little bit of advantage. Safety's going to play a little bit inside. They're going to give some outside help as well. Say, hey, nothing deep into the end zone on the inside should be available because we're going to make sure that guy can take that away. Ultimately, Matthew Stafford beats him to the punch because Puka Nacua runs a quick in-breaker and is able to get into the end zone. Again, that's just the conflict that you're going to face when you have both Puka Nacua and Davante Adams to the same side. You're going to have to pick and choose which poison you want to try and help out on. Safety stays back a little bit too far. Stafford knows, okay, well, I just get this ball out quickly to Puka, who's going to win inside and get into the end zone quickly, man. That's just a credit to the way in which this Rams offense has really been designed ultimately, and those are the things that ultimately give them the chance. So that's ultimately to tie the game at 20-20. Let's look at what ended up giving the Rams the lead for good at 27-20. So we talked about it. Obviously, the ability to use Puka Nacua and Davante Adams to open things up for other guys. Puka Nacua is at the bottom of the screen. Davante Adams is at the top of the screen ultimately in this stack with Tutu Atwell as well. You're going to see Davante Adams and Puka Nacua both take inside releases. They're coming in on this stem route. You see that the Colts end up, again, like I talked about, sometimes getting home with 4 had a little bit of issues. They add on an extra rusher ultimately to try and get after him. They got 1 deep high safety. Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, both on these end breakers. Looks what happens to that deep high safety when he sees both of these guys are about to be open on these deep digs. It takes those little 2 steps up. And that's not to say that maybe he doesn't end up catching up to 2-2 regardless, because ultimately Stafford throws his ball on the money in stride. But the reality of the situation is that deep safety is influenced by both of these guys getting open immediately. Takes a little bit 2 steps too quickly up, and ultimately Tutu Atwell is long gone by the time this ball gets to Stafford. He's even and he's leaving, and ultimately that was the 88-yard touchdown that ended up putting him up for good. And that is just a testament to, again, having Puka and Davante Adams influence what the secondary is looking at, of saying, hey, we got to send our help as far as that is concerned to prevent these things. If Tutu Atwell is running the clear out route and he gets wide open, ultimately Stafford is going to hit him in stride for a touchdown to make him pay. that is the difficulty of defending this Rams offense. I think you are going to see a lot of teams struggle with it. They're going to put points on the board. We've seen that obviously in the past. They did to the Eagles, a few weeks ago as well, and what they were able to do as far as being able to get up in that game, even though the Eagles were able to make the comeback. This is a team that is going to contend in the NFC because they have the ability, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, to put defenses in conflict. And obviously, they had an exceptional rushing game from Karen Williams, had an awesome success rate on the ground, specifically because the Colts also have some issues as far as the defense. And that's not to say the Colts are a bad team or a fake 3-0 or whatever. I think that they're a solid team, but the reality situation is the Rams are such a good team in their position to take advantage of some of those ills from that aspect too. So with that being said, I did also talk about, as far as overtime is concerned, the aspect of the Rams being a complete NFC contender, and it includes the defensive side of the ball. And I just wanted to highlight this. You'll see this clip everywhere, but Jarrett Verse coming from depth at the linebacker position, which is always going to be a tough thing as far as a guy that is as great as Jarrett Verse, specifically a guy that plays with power like Jarrett Verse as an edge rusher, going up against any type of interior offensive lineman. But boy, this is wrong. Jarrett Verse is going to get a running start right at Turner Bortolini and just absolutely destroy him. Then dives at Daniel Jones, and the Rams are all over him. He's forced to throw the ball away. That is a scary sight to see Jarrett Verse running over your center as he snaps the ball to you. Oh man, that is concerning to say the least. But look, we know this Rams pass rush is hellacious. I think they got enough at the second and third levels to make it work. And we'll talk about another guy that I really like a lot, specifically Cam Curl here at the safety position. They got the game sealing pick against Daniel Jones. And this is one place that I will say specifically with the Colts. It's not to say that Daniel Jones can't make this throw. He can. It's just if you're going to be forcing him into true drop back situations, there are still question marks about how well he can operate when those things do come about. And ultimately, this is a you're trying to do versus really tamper to a little bit. They're kind of dropping the linebacker a little bit, especially deep as far as that is concerned. If you're going to throw this whole shot to the outside boundary, over the sinking corner, you have to have a cannon to get that ball in there before the safety gets over. Daniel Jones lofts the ball a little bit too far, and ultimately Curl comes over and makes a really good interception to seal the game. Again, this is just about, hey, we've got him into a difficult situation. We're rushing him. We've been giving him a little bit of issues throughout the entirety of the game. He feels like he's sped up and got to get the ball out versus pushing the right tackle back into his lap, throws the ball. And again, if you're going to try and hit that whole shot, you've got to fire it in there. Far too much air under it, and Curl makes a really good play. So they've got some playmakers in the safety room, specifically with their Kitchens and Curl combination. And then you talk about what the defensive line can provide. It is a formula, in my opinion, that could land them in the Super Bowl in February out there in Santa Clara. But we'll see what ends up happening. I wanted to highlight the Rams, a really good win over the Colts. Team to watch, obviously, as we go on throughout the rest of this National Football League season. We'll see you guys back here later on, man. Tomorrow, first edition of my power rankings and reordering of the quarterback tiers. Going to be a lot of fun. We're into October football. We got a month of football to look back on and see where guys stack up.